How's it going, Critter Family? I hope you all are doing well. Today we're looking at a video from It's Me or the Dog. We're looking at a short little clip with the demonic Doberman Harvey. So whether you are a fan or not of Victoria Stilwell, I personally love her. I think it's great that she has shown that she has learned and progressed so much over the years. This is obviously this is an old episode of hers. And a lot of it comes down to, what makes for good TV. So even so, she has, recounted some of the methods she has used in the past, and some of the information she has shared, I believe, in the past. And she says, she doesn't do things that way anymore, which is great. I'm all for anyone learning from their past and changing their behavior for the better to better help animals and people alike. So either way, we're going to be looking at this little clip with the demonic Doberman Harvey. So before we even get started, it looks like they have, looks like a martingale, the chain martingale, and I don't even think they have it on correctly. This looks like they have it on the clip where the ID tag goes. They have their leash clipped to the part where the ID tag should go. Usually there's a D-ring or an O-ring, over here where the chain part is, so that way you clip that there, and then the collar will shorten or tighten. Usually it's used for these types of collars are usually used for greyhounds or dogs with really big necks, thick necks, and small heads, so it keeps them from getting out of it. So here's the O-ring right here, which is where I think the leash should be connected to this if they don't want him to get out, if they're worried about him getting out of his collar. So we're just gonna play this clip, and
Victoria thinks the time is now right to tackle Harvey's most serious antisocial problem: other dogs.
Okay, so there it looked like it was on proper.
With Lady, he's a boisterous bully.
No! So he's a Doberman. He's young. He has a lot of energy. Already what I've seen is they take him to areas where he's already wound up with energy. So they take him out to run off and burn off that energy, but he's already over threshold. So you're already, kind of in that endless loop of, because we don't take him out, he builds up energy. And then when we do take him out, he's crazy, but because he's crazy, we can't take him out, blah, 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 blah. The endless circle. So here, it looks like they're in a big park, which would be great if you can come here during times when there's no other people or dogs. To start with, just burn off some of that energy. If you can't, then try walking around your neighborhood. If your neighborhood is really busy, just practice inside. The best thing you can do is practice inside. And then if you can, if you need to take him out to obviously run energy off or tire himself out a little bit, get in the car. If he's safe enough to be in the car, crate him up, whatever you need to do, and drive him to a specific off-leash dog park, or an area where, he can run and you're not necessarily training with him. You're not trying to, compete against other things in the environment. Like here, if she's trying to teach him to loose leash walk here, it's not going to happen because he's outside. He's super excited. There's a bunch of smells. There's a camera person in front of him. All these other, things that you're fighting. So practice inside first, just walking on a loose leash. I always say, if it looks like you're rewarding for nothing at all, you're doing it right. Practice until it is beyond boring for you, but it should still be, rewarding for your dog. We don't want your dog to be bored of walking inside, but we're really practicing that behavior.
But outside with big dogs, it's World War III. Victoria believes that the root to Harvey's reaction is fear, and that stems from a lack.
I would say, fear or frustration. I mean, right there we have a guy with a golden, they're walking by. So again, we know that this area, and she may do things differently now. I'm just pointing out what I would do. We're already here in an area that we know other dogs are going to be, other dogs have been through. So that's too stimulating for him at this point. That to me looks like a lot of frustration. It could be fear because he never gets to go see the dog. It could have started out as being friendly and then it grows to become, aggression because he's on leash. He feels trapped. It could be painful, I'm sure, to at least uncomfortable to some degree, having the collar dig into your throat. So I put him on a harness. I know a lot of people say, the harness is going to make things worse. It's going to make it more, yes, it'll be harder to hold him back, but you won't be damaging his thyroid gland, his salivary glands, his, trachea, and causing a collapsed trachea. And may feel differently and act differently when he doesn't feel something around his throat versus around his body. You still have to teach him not to pull in a harness, because a harness doesn't necessarily, pulling is a learned behavior. A harness does not necessarily promote pulling. The action of allowing your dog to pull promotes pulling. Your dog can be pulling on a leash on any tool, but if you don't move forward and they don't get rewarded for that behavior, then it doesn't matter the tool. Your dog is not going to learn to pull. So anyway, this is already an area, of course we have a good before and after, but this is an area where your dog is already too over threshold. So many times I work with clients and they say, well, my dog is reactive, so let's go find another dog. Or if we're in a park, they're upset, or they feel, more discouraged if we don't see a dog, because they want me to see that behavior. And I totally believe every one of my clients when they say their dog is reactive. What they don't realize is that, okay, if we see another dog, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to walk the other direction. I'm not even going to allow your dog to react. That's how you need to start retraining your own brain, your human brain, is we don't want our dog to even get to the point of reaction. Because when they get to the point of reaction, I don't correct. I just move away. And then I prevent that. Now, that doesn't mean that we don't go to see other dogs. If I had Harvey here and we saw this dog and we were, say 200 feet away and he were being calm, then that's what I would do. I would stand right there. He's below threshold. The second we start to approach, that dog approaches us, or we approach the dog, and he starts barking, we're over threshold. We need to go back behind our invisible line where he's calm again, and I can reward him for that. If he's staring and I can put a piece of cheese in front of him, and he's like Ed from The Lion King, lights are on, nobody's home, we're still over threshold until I can bring it back to where he can, look at me, or I can get his attention and keep it off of this dog. So that's what I would practice, and it can be very helpful to practice that inside the house with him on leash. Have the door open, let him look outside to the outside world and work on that. And if he can't look away from you just looking outside the door, then you can close the door. That's where it all starts.
Of socialization with dogs his own size.
Harvey, no!
So
With the help of
I don't know if they came over to say hello or not, but him being on a leash, the other dog also being on leash, can lead to barrier reactivity, or they feel it's the opposition reflex. You feel like something's pulling you back, you're going to instinctively fight it. As if I were behind you and trying to push you, you're going to fight that push generally. You're, especially if you're in a fight or flight moment. If I'm trying to push you into traffic, you're not going to let me push you into traffic. So it just heightens the dog's anxiety. So I wouldn't even be anywhere near another dog until we get the dog to really be able to focus on their human, and start socializing in a number of different environments, and then we work up to the dog. And we can have little doggy play dates where he can still go see other dogs, socialize, and play off leash. But I wouldn't start with other dogs when we're in the initial stage of training.
an advert in the local rag, and with Bill and Jane's approval, Victoria's organised a doggy get-together in a nearby park.
Okay.
Now, I have to say a warning here. We don't know what's going to happen. Everything is going to be done as safely as possible, but he could react badly.
Okay, so with that in mind, and again, she may do things very differently now. If I don't know the dog, and I don't know their temperament and how they react, I don't meet them, especially not with a dog who is fearful or a dog who is reactive. To be safe, I would have all dogs that we're interacting with be conditioned ahead of time to a basket muzzle for safety. That way the dogs aren't bothered by it, and of course we want to supervise. We don't want anybody, reacting to the muzzle or getting a paw caught in somebody else's muzzle or collar or anything like that. But if we were going to be doing this, then, with my Shiba, my good boy Shiba, Adonis was perfect for that, where I knew him up until 10 years old. After that, I retired him, let him have his golden years. He was my demo dog that I would use to help rehabilitate other dogs that were fearful or reactive, because Adonis knew how to be a dog. And so I would never have him go off leash. I wouldn't have him go up and sniff them. We would start again at that distance where I know he's not going to react to them. We would start whatever distance they needed to be in, where the owner could start working with their dog the way I had originally taught them to, which is just stand there, be calm, reward, at certain intervals, certain timing. And Adonis and I would just sit there, and Adonis and I would walk a little bit to get the dog used to them sitting and us walking by, reward the dog for being calm. And then Adonis and I would sit and they would walk by, because it changes. So unless I really knew the dog, or I really, the family knew another dog and really knew their temperament, I personally wouldn't have strange dogs meet like this. That's just me.
Although Victoria believes he's more excitable than dangerous, a face-to-face meeting with Bull Mastiff Poppy could turn nasty.
Cute. Good. So
Taking
the
note-
dog gave a little lip lick, did look up at the owner. That's good that they are in tune with their owner, but lip lick can be a sign of anxiety. It looks like he is muzzled, so that's great. I wonder if they took time to condition him or not. The reason why I like all dogs involved to be muzzled is because I don't want to make anybody shark bait. I want everybody to be, even if it's the friendliest dog in the world, I still want them to be conditioned to wear a muzzle when meeting another dog with a muzzle, just in case, because things can happen. I don't want anyone to have an unfair advantage.
Chances Victoria has attached a muzzle.
So
and is
he's
taking
still
control.
already really pulling. Again, it's a show. They have it for, she's there for a couple of days or maybe a week. They're working really quickly, but this is the issue, that he's pulling, he's already excited, he's showing he's very nervous. This is the last thing that I would do, but, and a lot of people think, oh, I need a doggy friend for my dog, which is fine. If you're going to do this, then just do it as safely as possible. But I think that the dog needs more confidence with his owners to go out every day, over making a bunch of dog friends. Again, that's just me.
Control of Harvey herself. Although this could be hazardous, Bill and Jane feel a friendlier Harvey is worth the risk.
So that was a little bit of a harsh, kind of pulled up on the leash right there.
Could be hazardous.
I don't know if she
Bill
would
and
still do
Jane
this
feel a
today.
friendlier-
In general, this whole meet and greet like this. But you see here, she's pulling her hand back.
Harvey is
Kind of
worth
harsh.
the risk.
Again, tight. Pulling up a lot, trying to stop him from pulling. If I'm going to go in there and have the two dogs meet, I'm going to let them off leash, because on leash interactions hardly ever, I won't say hardly, but a lot of times it's an easy way to get into a dog fight. They can get trapped, they can get tangled. They try to play and they get corrected by the leash, not necessarily because the owner is correcting them. A lot of times owners will, but the dog just kind of runs to the end of the leash because you only have 6 feet of playroom or wiggle room. So the dog could, inadvertently think the other dog is correcting them, or they feel trapped, or it just doesn't go well. So if I'm going to have another dog meet another dog and they're already muzzled, let them go off leash and watch them. Make sure that you're in a safe environment, one that's fenced. Watch out for trap points or choke points, which would be like corners. We don't want anyone getting cornered. We don't want anybody being able to get the high ground. So if there's like a table, we have someone on the table and they can jump and pounce. Just keep an eye on it and make sure it's a small enough area that if they do get into any kind of a situation, you can easily go break it up, separate, and you're not having to chase them around forever. So right there, as soon as he started reacting, I would have turned around. This is a great demo area, but this dog is essentially shark bait. Even though he has a muzzle on, it's not fair to this dog because he's being forced, or they're being forced to sit there and just put up with this crazy dog. That was the thing that, with Adonis, where if I'm going to be using him and he trusts me and I'm using him as my rehabilitation dog, demo dog, whatever you want to call it, you better believe it, I'm not going to allow any harm to come to him. I've been out in public just minding my own business, working with Adonis, and strangers walk up with their dog like this without a muzzle, straight up to us, and I have to walk away. And eventually I have to say, hey, we're not here for a meet and greet. Like, read the room, dude. Like, back off. What is wrong with you? But, common sense isn't common. I'm not saying that she's doing that. Obviously, they are practicing this for a reason, but this is not body language that I want of a dog that's going to be helping a nervous dog. And I don't blame the dog. I don't blame either of the dogs. Humans are working too quick here. This is not how you do it. You take the time it takes less time. I don't care if anybody puts me on a really strict time frame, then I'm not working with you. It's as simple as that. I'm not going to undergo safety or the better life of the dog, with for you, for a human. If you want to go with another trainer, go do it. If you want to do it on your own, go do it. I don't care. You know, you are the one that is risking it, and it's not going to be, in my opinion, I wouldn't think it would be long-term results. You know, if you're going to work with me, we're going to do it slow and steady and safely for long-term results. So this guy's, the dog was, lip licking. I can't tell if that's part of like just the braided leash there, if that is like, I think it's just part of his collar. But sometimes they have choke chains on that have like the little black material or like a cloth material. It could be black or pink or whatever, different color, and they kind of braid it through the choke chain so it doesn't look so scary. It looks cuter.
But as Harvey,
so I don't think he has one of those on. I assume he does have a martingale. But this dog, wow, look at his face or her face. Already might be on a choke chain. Cowls are up. Really not comfortable. Person here is trying to correct this dog to keep them from reacting. They have every right to react because all the people here are making this dog shark bait. If this dog were to correct, it wouldn't be their fault. But they're going to learn a bad lesson. So there's so much that goes into a meeting like this. Even though they have a muzzle on, that doesn't mean squat. They can still get hurt. He can certainly still get hurt by this dog. This muzzle can come off. Things happen. Or they could, he could still scratch her. Things can happen. They can trample them, get him cornered. So this is not a good first meet. This is not a good setup.
Things quick.
So this dog, I think it looks like they're on a martingale, which is not helping. So now they're both learning bad lessons. Way too over threshold. If you are trying to go and meet and greet with somebody and either dog is doing this, even if it's only one, you're working too fast. Go back to where your dog could sit nicely and calmly or walk around nice and calmly and work your way up to it. Don't be in such a hurry. I mean, trust me, I get it. That it is, working with these dogs, I get burnt out. And just like my mentor said, you work with a bunch of aggressive dogs and one day you're going to get burnt out and you're just going to be so happy to have a potty training with a puppy. And you know what? It happens. It's happened more than once that I've been burnt out, because it's stressful. It takes time. It takes, management and understanding and you have to be, very cautious with your dog whenever you're going out. But it doesn't have to be to the point where you're going mad. That's why you practice things. You set up the environment, and with dogs you can absolutely set up the environment. Even if you can only take them out front to go pee and potty, you can use mental stimulation. You can take them out, take them to the car, and take them to drive a little ways to let them out to burn that energy if you have to. It's management for life, and if you really care about your dog and how they feel and you're changing behavior modification, then you'll do it. You'll find a way to make it work. And if you don't, you want to rely on corrective tools, a shock collar, prong collar, or listen to all these other, 5-minute trainers, you get results in 5 minutes basically, then you don't follow them.
Go from bad to worse. Harvey
So,
repeatedly makes to
I instantly would have turned around. As soon as he starts pulling and going crazy and barking, I instantly turn around. And I do that with many, many, many clients.
with only the muzzle keeping his teeth at bay.
So he went to go get this dog, behind the back, kind of like get him before they get you. This dog is not helping. I don't blame either dog. Again, if Adonis has put up with a lot of these dogs, but, he trusts me that I'm not going to let him get hurt. And if the dog ever starts reacting like that, then we separate, we increase space. I would never just expect Adonis to put up with a dog like this, barking and yelling in his face, and he can't do anything.
It must be fear. It's got to be fear.
Yes, it does look and sound like fear. He has hackles up. If he had more of a tail that wasn't docked, we'd be able to tell what his body language is more. His tail may be high, which it looks like it might be, but he's stimulated. Again, he's on a collar, which isn't helping. Even if you were on a harness that were tight, that could still easily send him over threshold, but it's not around his throat. But this sounds like just anxiety.
Success.
And this dog is not so much fear and like, dude, get away from me. What is wrong with you? Why are you following me? This dog doesn't know that they're trying to help. This dog doesn't know that they're the demo dog to, trying to help this guy, and they don't even know this dog. And this dog was, I'm assuming, the best of the best that they had there to work with. But even with the best trained, best well-behaved dog, this isn't helpful.
This technique is to be persistent and to keep reintroducing Harvey to the other dog until
No, I disagree with that, because he's already learned bad lessons. You know, I mean, can you do it? Sure, over time, but now she's having to drag him to the other
no
dog.
longer
He doesn't
sees
want
it
to
as a
see the
threat.
other dog. See, now she's having to drag him there. That's the problem. Is that it's not persistence of, you know, go a meet, go a meet, go a meet. Persistence, yes, if you were to go slowly. He's not reacting here, reward, move up a little bit closer, perfect reward. He moves up, he reacts, okay, we go back. But we keep persisting slowly. We are consistent. It might take a couple of days, it might take a couple of weeks. If you don't have that kind of time, then I personally can't help you. I mean, there's no way to speed it up. See? Both of these dogs are learning bad lessons, and it's so unfortunate. I mean, he's out of fear, and this dog could very well be out of fear as well, or just irritation, agitation. I mean, this dog is very agitated and scary, and this dog doesn't know that he's afraid or not trying to hurt him. I mean, this dog is just protecting himself.
Thinking he's never going to like other dogs.
No, he's not barking now.
So now he's learning to avoid. He's learning avoidance. This is flooding, essentially. This is flooding, where you force him over and over, no matter what he does. He doesn't get away from the scary stimulus, so he just gives up.
Walking.
Kind of learned helplessness. Hackles are still up.
After 10 minutes, Harvey finally starts
Wow,
to
10 minutes, that
settle
other
down.
dog got corrected again.
This is amazing that he's walking.
He's just exhausted himself. And I imagine that she would, think some of, if not a lot of the similar things, is that she wouldn't do this now. But he has just exhausted himself. It's like, Joel Beckman would do this. But he would use a lot more corrections and a head halter. It'd nearly break the dog's neck probably, but this is just exhaustion, learned helplessness.
Closer to a dog than he's ever done. And that he is.
And just because you get results, it doesn't matter how quickly you got them or that you got them at all. It's how you get them is the most important part.
Not being as reactive.
Now Harvey's beginning to be sociable. Victoria feels confident enough to introduce another dog.
So how long did it take to introduce this other dog? Was this other dog even reacting? They're a German Shepherd, so if you give them any kind of a pop on the leash, chances are they're going to be very responsive to that. They're a very soft dog versus, a type of a bulldog where you can pop them and they're like, I don't care. A German Shepherd, you pop them on the collar, they're like looking at you like, oh, okay, I'll pay attention, I don't know. These are just things I'm thinking of and looking at. This is,
take the
again, it's just flooding.
lead.
Oh, I'm so pleased. Because this gives me
I
confidence.
guess, see, she's really making sure this dog is watching her, which is great. But this is still dangerous.
In the future, he's going to have some doggy friends. That's so important.
I don't know that he will, though.
Harvey's first stab at socializing.
But he's not socializing with them at all. He's just walking around them, which is great for socializing, as in getting him used to different environments, that he can walk around other dogs. But he's not actually playing with the dogs. He's not meeting them. He's not really sniffing them. This is not, socializing isn't just playing with other dogs.
Ended well.
He's never ever walked with a dog
So he's
that's
still-
the same size as him.
No.
Ever.
He's still
His hackles
barking.
went
He's
down
just, again, they're just talking and they're correcting him.
He looked a bit
Correction.
more relaxed.
And they don't realize it. And they have the martingale on the wrong way. I mean, like, if you don't want to choke your dog, I mean, the martingale is set to a certain diameter, so I don't think they're going to choke him anyway. But have just a regular flat buckle collar on. I mean, that metal chain is just going to dig into him. But this is just not how I would do it. I think this is just an absolute shit show, honestly. And he is just so tired. It's learned helplessness. It's just exhaustion. Just keep at it and keep at it and keep at it until you have no more fight left. And then you say, okay. He didn't learn anything, really. He didn't meet those dogs. He hasn't socialized. He's not going to make friends with them. He hasn't even sniffed them properly. So this is just, a bad example. Again, I really like the work that Victoria does, especially showing that she currently and how she has learned a lot and changed a lot of her methods. Just like as have I. Before I went to schooling and all that, I listened to really bad trainers, and I've made my mistakes, my fair share of mistakes. Adonis, if he could speak, he would have told you. But we learn from them. Just because we make mistakes doesn't mean that we, have to be labeled as such mistake or we're stuck in that. Learn from it and try to change to better yourself and better those around you. So that was just what I see on this video. Let me know what you all think of this video. In the meantime, thanks for watching. Go give your little critters some kind of loving. Say howdy do for me. And until next time, practice peace, patience, and positivity.